So here we are at my dad's cabinet shop where we're going to build some beehives today. He's had his own shop for 25 years. I started helping him in it when I was 6 years old. That was back in North Carolina. He's been in this shop here in Ohio for probably about 5 years now. This shop here is really cool. It's actually an old barn that an Amish man built back in the 30s. Back in the 30s, you know, it was the Great Depression, so there wasn't a lot of money floating around. So he actually tore down a covered bridge and used the posts and beams and everything to build this barn. And then a few years ago, the owners renovated a little bit, put concrete in and everything to make so that he could use it as a shop. So let's go ahead and get started making these beehives. Have you ever thought about getting bees? It's been a dream of mine for several years now, and we are super excited to get started with this. Really excited to make this happen, but I am a total newbie at this. See what I did there? Total newbie at this. I'm basically just gonna grab this thing by the horns and go for it. I do have a friend that's gonna walk through it with me. I've done some research, read a couple books. One of the really good books that I read is this Keeping Bees in Horizontal Hives. Most of the time what you're gonna see, the conventional beehives is called a Langstroth hive, and that's like boxes stacked on top of each other. You know, you see them like different heights and stuff. Basically, we're gonna be building rectangle boxes, and then we're gonna be building frames to put in them. And it's supposed to be a more natural approach to beekeeping. And also, I'm gonna be building some swarm traps, and so I'm gonna go through all that in this video. I had actually been planning to start bees last year, so I got a bunch of parts for it, and I cut out the sides for the hives. Basically, what you're starting out with is 2x10s, and they're gonna be rabbited out to make a tongue and groove to put them together to make it taller. I already have these parts cut, so now it's the rabbiting and getting that tongue and groove ready so that we can put these things together. Now that I've got the tongue and grooves cut on all the boards, it's time to cut a couple more rabbits out for other parts of the hive. You go to horizontalhive.com, you can find free plans that Dr. Leo Shrashkin put on there. He's got pictures and lists of all the materials you need and just like very detailed how to do each step to make these hives. So that's what I'm going to be using to build these hives today. The router caught on one of these pieces and broke this out. Put some glue on it, but I want to get the clamp off, so I'm going to stick a couple pins in here. That'll be good to go. We'll sand it up a little bit once that's all good and dry. The next thing that needs to be done is the entrances for the hive cut into the boards. We're gonna make it so it slants down to the outside just a little bit so that it for sure shed any water a lot easier. I am basically following these plans to the letter. That is something that I'm not used to doing. I'm used to coming up with my own designs or drawing up my own stuff. I decided for the first time making these hives that I would just go ahead and follow everything exactly how he has it laid out for the most part. And then later, if I want to build more hives, I can go off of what I already did and figure out how I best want to do it. It is time to go for lunch. I'm sure you've been seeing Izzy and Tears and Cade in the background working on their projects and stuff. So before we go, I thought I'd show you what they've been working on.
A table, and here's a drawer.
So the table's upside down right now, huh?
Yeah.
Basketball hoop. Woo! Cool, buddy.
And I made this.
Oh, table and chair.
And a candle.
Hey, Cade, what you making?
A helicopter.
Let me see it. Does it spin? Cool. All right, we're back from lunch, ready to start putting this thing together. Gonna start by putting the bottom layer of the actual hive body together. Got all the hive bodies put together here, so now I'm ready to cut the boards, cut pieces for the top and the bottom of these hives. This is also going to get a tongue and groove joint, and that's not something that I usually do with any kind of woodworking, but this is what he says do. And like I said, I'm just kind of following the plans, doing what he said. Since this is a thinner board, it's just going to have a 1/4 inch tongue and groove. So since I don't want to change the bit in the router right now, I'm going to use the table saw to make a couple passes to make the 1/4 inch groove in half of the pieces. Back to the router to make the tongue on the others. So now I'm going to head over to the chop saw over here and cut up some pieces for the sides of the lid.
just got back from working on the beehives, and it looks like I've got some packages here. I think this is my bee suit. Actually, I know that one of them is my bee suit because somebody opened it up. They thought it was a package for them. So I'm gonna call the children in here because I got a bee suit for them too, and we're gonna try this stuff on. Hey guys, you wanna come see if we got a bee suit? Since this one is already out of the package, how about we open this one first? Check it out. Woo! Bees & Co. And here's the suit. Whoa, that looks huge. But I wanted it so that, you know, you guys can grow into it. There's gloves for you coming, but I don't think that package got here yet. Turn around and let people see you on the camera. This actually seems like a pretty good one. That'll work for now, just to try it on. Look at my gloves.
Those are huge.
Thinking maybe my gloves are too tight. It's also getting really warm in here. I'm gonna do a good bit of sanding now since all the pieces are cut for the tops and the bottoms. And all of my hives here are dry, so I'm ready to scrape off some glue and sand those too. We're gonna get the bottoms on these hives and then we'll put the lids together. I'm going to be drilling some ventilation holes in the bottom of this and then also in the sides of the lid. And just for reference, I'm going to be covering those with some aluminum screen mesh on the inside. Don't have that with me right here, right now, but I'm going to go ahead and put these holes in here. Right there. I was thinking I was done with these boxes, but there's one more thing that I need to do. I need to attach the boards on here for the rest for the lid. And this one is actually done. Besides that screen mesh on the inside to cover up the ventilation hole, it's ready for the lid. So what he does, he puts a 1/4-inch piece of plywood on top and then he wraps aluminum over top of that. And that's a good idea, that would work great. But I don't have aluminum flashing and I don't feel like buying any. So I've actually got this plywood. It's some scrap stuff that we had that was packing for the warehouse, whatever, but it's a siding plywood that is, I guess, treated. So I'm not using treated anywhere where the bees are gonna actually come in contact with, but I wanna use this on top for the roof. All right, we're putting the lids together now. Here's the top of it. I'm gonna put this on the inside and then the pieces will go around this plywood here. That'll help hold everything flat and sturdy and have a good way to fasten it on. And it'll also help be a little more insulated lid to help keep it warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. The guy that I'm getting my bees from gave me this old frame so that I can make sure that these hives that I'm building will fit the regular frames that comes in a Langstroth hive. Obviously it is a difference. These will not fit in there how they would in a Langstroth hive. So if you go on horizontalhive.com, Leo Sharashkin has plans to kind of retrofit a Layens hive to temporarily fit these frames until you can switch them over to the regular Layens frames. Basically all it is some boards that are gonna go on top to make the hive deeper, and then you're gonna take one of these, like adapter things if you want to call it that, and screw this frame onto here. And then that'll make so you can set it in here like a regular Layens hive. And it's just temporary, and I'm not actually gonna put those boards on top until I get the hives painted. But once they're all painted, just one of these hives, I'm gonna put that on top. And I've got 5 adapters here for the 5-frame nuke that I'm getting. To fill up my 2 other hives, I'm gonna set out a couple swarm traps. It's like a small hive that fits 6 frames, and you put it out there and you put some lure in it, and so any swarming bees will come looking for a place to live. Bee will find this and it'll lead the other bees to it, and pretty soon you got a colony of bees in this little hive, and then you can bring it to your bee yard and transfer them into another permanent hive. So basically all this is it's a plywood box. It's not meant to be a permanent home, so it's not built as sturdy and everything as the regular hives are. The last thing I'm going to do for now is make frames, and they're going to look something like this. I bought all the pieces to make these frames from Leo Sharashkin on horizontalhives.com. I just didn't really feel like making all these parts like this, So I got enough for 100 frames, and we're just taking a long time. I would have to buy the lumber for it. I figured I'm farther ahead by just buying the pieces and putting it together. I've been spending quite a bit of time the last few days off camera getting ready to put these together. It was suggested to me to make a starter strip for the bees to build their comb off of. So I ran all of these 100 pieces over the table saw and then made a piece that fit right inside that groove that sticks out about ½ an inch or so. And then the other thing you have to do when you're going to wire it is you put staples in beside the holes that it's going to loop around. You put staples here and here and here and here so that it goes over top of those staples so it doesn't dig into the wood. And so all the pieces are ready to go. And then the other thing I did is I built a couple jigs. One is a jig to actually put the frames together. Then another jig is one to wire the frames. All right, here we go with the wiring. I'm guessing this is going to take a little longer to get used to than just putting the frames together. That's all I'm gonna do on the beehives for now. We're gonna get them painted and get them set up. Then once we get the bees, we'll do another video and you'll get to see the finished product. Once that video is up, I'll put it right down here. And until then, you can watch this video next.
Gloves, suit.
All right, guys, let's go for lunch.